welcome to IsraelTech. I'm excited for our very first premiere interview. I'm here with Hillel Fuld. Hillel Fuld actually, I don't know if you know this, but I think you do, first introduced me to marketing in Israel-Tech in 2009. We met here in Beit Shemesh.
What do you mean first introduced? What does that mean? What were you doing
before
before that?
I wasn't doing digital marketing before that at all.
Wow.
You introduced me to Twitter when it was early on in 2009. You told me to get on.
Wow.
I got on. I was studying at Bar Ilan MBA, and I got Bar Ilan's business school on. I even brought them a student from abroad for their international program, and then giving me a $1,000 scholarship towards my MBA. And it was through that I understood, and I kind of fell in love with Twitter. And then when I went back to the States, I started doing a little bit organic on my own. Then I had on the side while I was working at Xerox, and then a client asked me to take out ads, and then I saw the dashboard of ads, and then I really got into digital marketing through ads, originally through organic.
So where's my cut?
That's coming after this. It depends how this interview goes. So that's why I'm on. I wanted to have Hillel on, not just because he's awesome, but before really.
Mostly dashingly handsome.
Well, but they see that. What they don't know is that you're awesome.
Thank you.
So this dashingly handsome man is that what you've been able to do is help a lot of people such as myself, before even you were nearly as well known, I don't think anyone knew who you were, is that you invited me. I was living in Nachlaot in Jerusalem to come for some coffee in Beit Shemesh. I had no idea who you are. I don't even know how we got connected. I tried to look into it. I couldn't find out how we got connected, and that was kind of it. Didn't hear, think about you for a few years. Even.
How rude.
I know.
I thought about you every day.
I don't blame you. But you know what? I channeled that, and it brought me back to Israel. And so here we are. I'm living in Israel now 10 years. But I built a digital marketing agency that is leading the way for Israeli technology. And so with this new brand, IsraelTech, our goal here is to be able to find the great personalities in Israel and technology and elevate them. So I find that, one, most of the people that are getting some of the best brains, the most technologically brilliant people, often sometimes they're very tech, they're not necessarily great on camera, or that's not their focus, they may be more introverted. And the goal is to be able to pull out of them their brilliance, their experience, what they did, let's say, within the army, and how we can bring that out in English, extract that, and show and share to the world. Right. So it could be better for them, for their businesses, and so they can continue to make a better impact, not just for Israel, but obviously the technology that helps the entire free world.
Sounds good. Awesome. Let's rock and roll.
All right. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself. I think you're a man that doesn't need an introduction. But how would you introduce yourself? And I have a feeling it's going to be harder for you than I might think.
It is by far my largest professional challenge. When people say, what do you do? How do I answer that? I don't know what I do. I've yet to figure it out, right? But I like to say, I wear 4 hats, right? The first hat, let's call it marketing. I used to say startups, but now I'm working with companies that aren't startups. So let's call it marketing / growth on the qualitative side. I'm not running ads. I've never run an ad on the internet in my life. I've never promoted anything in my life ever for money, ever. So it's all on the organic, qualitative side. So it's PR and social and content, all that jazz. So that's the first hat. Second hat is all the content, which is what gave birth to my career. So I write as a columnist / contributor to basically every leading tech publication. TechCrunch, The Next Web, VentureBeat, Inc., all those guys. A bunch of video content, audio content, just a lot of content, right? The third thing is public speaking, which I do a lot of. And then the fourth thing is my work with the Fortune 100s, the multinationals. So I work with Google and Microsoft, Oracle as they all call it something else. Google developer experts and Microsoft brand ambassadors, Oracle startup advisory board. It's all the same stuff.
They all need distinct names.
Yeah, it's all the same stuff.
Because they don't want to sound like the others.
So that's the 4 hats, basically. I always say I'm a kid in a candy store. My career makes no sense. Like, who am I? Like, whatever. I'm not going to get into it. We could get into this, but I just feels very strange to me that I'm advising Google when I'm like some random dude who one day 15 years ago just started to write. That's all I've ever done is just write on the internet. But I'll play along until everyone realizes that I'm full of garbage.
So actually, let's go into about advising technology companies in general. So what do you think tech companies, what kind of advisement do you like? What kind of advice, not just you give, but in general that they need? And at different stages, of course, they need different kinds of advice. Maybe you can walk us through maybe just some tips people would need to know, so therefore they can maybe take that and start to implement it or know what to go to look for to get the information they need.
Well, first of all, I call myself an advisor just because I have no better word for it. That doesn't mean I'm only sitting and giving advice, obviously, right? But at the end of the day, if you'd ask me the biggest mistake, there are a lot of them, but the biggest mistake that drives me crazy is when entrepreneurs quote Field of Dreams and they say, if you build it, they will come. It's like, dude, if you build it, no one's coming. No one heard of you. What are you talking about? No, you have a great product, people will come running. That's not how the world works.
It's like the tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it to make
It's ridiculous. I always use this as an example. I don't know. Did you ever have a BlackBerry?
No.
Really?
No.
So, how old are you?
38 next month.
So anybody that's, I'd say, over 40, whatever, had a BlackBerry at some point in their lives, and I guarantee you, and feel free to like conduct this experiment. Go over to like 50 people and say, did you have a BlackBerry? They'll say, yes. You say, what did you think of your BlackBerry? And 50 out of 50 will say, I loved my BlackBerry.
Right.
BlackBerry was a phenomenal product, way ahead of its time. It was an unbelievable product. And yet, where are they?
Right.
So a good product's not enough. It's just not, you know? So I tell companies, like, maybe in
Wait, it was enough at the time, but
I'm
it
saying
wasn't
it
enough
never,
to adapt.
right? It didn't survive because
Right.
it wasn't, you know,
Right.
they didn't build the brand, they didn't adapt, they didn't
Right.
build an
Just
ecosystem,
like the Palm
no
Pilot,
apps, nothing, right?
Just like, yeah, it's all good.
So, you know, I tell companies all the time, like, in the olden days, building a good product was enough because there was very little market saturation. There wasn't like, you know, everyone's trying to grab your attention. Today, building a brand is absolutely mandatory. You cannot build a company without a brand, and you see that every leading brand in the world has built, you know, content, all that jazz. So that's what I work with companies first of all, kind of build their brand. But you know, at the end of the day, like, people perceive entrepreneurship like completely inaccurately. Like, you know, we all glorify it, right? TechCrunch, oh, $100 million fund, a round of financing, 100 million, you know, acquisitions. That's all we read about. So it's like, oh yeah, entrepreneurship's like fun and games, right? The reality is, as you know, there's no such thing as like a hockey stick. It's all, you know, but I tell companies, like, you have to understand, like, you cannot succeed as an entrepreneur without resilience. Like, if you think that you're just gonna launch a product and boom, like, you're kidding yourself. Like, that's not how it works. So, you know, that's another thing that I help companies understand. But the big thing, 100%, is help them build the brand, right? Help them build, you know, content kind of infrastructure, you know, social, PR. Like, again, PR, right? Like, people, when I say PR, you think of like some PR agency just like spamming their journalist friends, hey, write about this, write about, that's not PR. Like, that's I don't know what you want to call that. That's not PR. PR is like taking a story from a company and saying, okay, here's how we're going to frame it, right? You know, and here's our target audience for this story. Like, who are we trying to attract? Like, oh, let's just get press. Why are you getting press on like Mashable when you're targeting investors? Like,
Right.
it's not relevant, you know?
Right.
So frame the story, find the right audience, find the right publication, find the right journalist at that publication. Are we doing an embargo? Is it a big enough story to go wide? Is it an exclusive? Are we not even pitching the press? Are we putting on PR Newswire? Like, these are all strategic questions that most people ignore. In fact, most PR agencies ignore. So yeah, that's the stuff I work with companies on, build their brand through all of those different channels. And, you know, as a result, obviously, you know, it leads to dollars and cents, but, you know better than me. There are certain things that are beyond quantification and clicks. Like,
Right.
you get someone's heart pounding, you get someone to care about your brand, you win, right?
So how does, if you're a tech company, let's say, that is B2B, a typical Israeli startup, and so it's not a physical product, right? So it's software, cybersecurity, AI, some kind of solution. It can even be some like really great technology for, we have a client that's in the account receivable space. Not sexy, right? How does one build what would you recommend to these startups? Like, how do I build a brand around this? Because as opposed to they're just trying to do marketing and ads and all that, of course, a bigger brand and a bigger culture around it. What would you recommend to, let's say, the non-sexy technology solution in the B2B space that will never be a household name?
I fundamentally disagree with your premise. I'll
Terrific.
tell
Okay,
you
great.
why.
My premise is reflective of the questions I get from other
Right.
people.
I'll tell you why I disagree. Because the sexiest companies out there are companies that took an industry that was not sexy and they made it sexy, right? I mean, transportation, like...
Yeah, but that's mass market. Transportation is mass market.
No, hold on a second. I'll tell you what,
Okay,
I'll
I
explain what I
think-
mean. You know, yellow cabs, like, there's nothing less sexy than that, and then Uber made it sexy, right? There's nothing less sexy than like hospitality, like hotels. It's like
But these are all B2C. I'm
right,
talking
saying,
about...
okay, so you could take, you know, any company that is addressing a quote unquote unsexy or primitive or archaic industry, and when they use technology and they disrupt it, they can make it sexy. It's not a question of B2C, B2B. In fact, you know, I often tell CEOs, they're like, oh, you know, we're selling to enterprise, like Twitter, like, you know, dude, every CIO, every CTO goes home at 5 o'clock and becomes a consumer.
Correct.
And like that differentiation between, no, we're B2C, we're B2B, so we don't need marketing.
Even more that throughout the day, they're a
It's-
consumer.
it's an
When you go
artificial-
to the bathroom, you're a consumer.
It's an artificial differentiation, and, you know, yes, the semantics are different. Yes, it's, you know, different tactics.
Right.
But the strategy, to me, you know, it's clear that marketing is marketing, and you need marketing whether you're selling to enterprises, to governments. It's all about trust, right? So I'd say even more so if you're an enterprise company and you're selling a product for $5 million, people need to trust you.
Right.
Whereas if I'm selling an app and I'm a consumer app, like, okay, so $1.99, all right, whatever, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, a brand, in my opinion, is what's the word I'm looking for? When it's agnostic. It's agnostic to space, agnostic to vertical. Like, you need to build a brand. Period. People need to trust you.
Right.
And so that's what I tell companies all the time. Like, yes, if you're selling an enterprise, maybe TikTok's not right for you.
Right.
But to say like I don't need content is ridiculous.
No, I'm not going to say that. So if someone were to say, hey, I got this dry thing, we'll go with the example I gave, account receivable software, right, for SMBs.
Yeah.
How does what would you, maybe one or two ways, a direction of doing that?
I don't know why you think that's unsexy. To me, that's the sexiest thing in the world. No,
Well,
I'm serious.
like everyone's got their different,
No, because
sexual
SMBs,
quirks, so.
SMBs, like, they need to optimize, their funnel and their, their income and their revenue as much as possible because they're a small business, right? And so if technology can help optimize that, and automate things instead of like, dude, I'm an SMB and I pay thousands to like an accountant and a bookkeeper. Like, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And there are many solutions out there, but like, if somebody can give me a solution that really answers my needs and scratches that itch like in a real way, not like, oh yeah, but it really works, that's unbelievable.
So if I were to maybe sum up from what I'm understanding from you, to build a brand, you shouldn't really be focusing on your technology as much as just focusing on the pain point and that connection you can make with your prospects and customers.
100%.
And it should just be the conversation around that.
I mean, is technology even relevant today?
I don't know. You tell me.
Does Twitter have technology? Does
Right.
Uber have technology? Airbnb have technology?
They all
Google?
do. But
No, when I say technology, I mean deep technology, right? Google is a website with a cert, like, they executed, they built an amazing product, but like, are they deep tech? No. You know who's deep tech? Intel.
Right.
Like, you don't need deep tech today, with exceptions. Obviously there are exceptions, but generally speaking, deep tech is not relevant. It's definitely not a selling point, nor is a unique idea. I have an idea. Who cares about an idea? My grandmother has ideas. She's dead for 20 years. Like, ideas are relevant. Again, what was Twitter's idea? There was no idea. It was execution. Period. So I don't think technology matters at all. I don't think a creative idea matters at all. I think it's about building a product that people love and people need. That's it. That's what it all comes down to. So I mean, yeah, I don't think that when you're building a brand, you need to talk about your technology. No one cares. No one cares about your algorithm. No one cares about like your machine learning and computer vision. Like, no one cares. Tell me why I should care. And in order to do that, you need to talk about the problem, right? And it goes beyond that. Like, I always give the example of Red Bull, right? Red Bull sells a drink, but the word drink or beverage does not appear on their website. Like, legitimately, you go to Red Bull, they're not selling you a drink. Like, have you ever seen Red Bull talking about themselves? Ever?
Right.
You will never see Red Bull talking about themselves. They're jumping out of planes.
Right.
Why? Because they're owning energy. They're not just owning, so they're a content lifestyle extreme sports company. They're not a drink company. There's a very big difference. So if I'm selling something, don't talk about what I'm doing, but talk about what you need, right? That's, I guess the most foundational thing. Just don't focus on the, on the what I have, but focus on the why I'm doing it. Like, why do you care? Focus on you, not on me, and that's what it is. Comes down to.
We're in a war, and I was like, do we want to open with it? But I decided not to. I thought kind of just getting to know you and understanding marketing and tech is probably the right way to go. But we're not going to avoid the elephant in the room, absolutely. So I would like to hear your opinion in general. Where do you think, how kind of maybe technologically we had failures in tech? I was speaking to a big AI cyber company yesterday, and they were saying one of the things that we need to do is repair, restore, and even better our reputation of our cybersecurity and our AI and that we use for our defenses. So where do you think kind of maybe where these failures were or have been, and what do you think Israeli technology can do to make sure that we can not restore our status, but by actually making sure that we can be as close as possible to have such strong technology that we can properly defend ourselves?
So first of all, I don't think our reputation was damaged at all. Like, I mean, people still, every day people are, I did an interview with CNN, I did an interview with Forbes about this, about the tech ecosystem in Israel during war. I don't think that our reputation was damaged. I think just on a logistical level, like, half the country's in the army now, so like, people are losing their team. That's the bottom line. But I obviously for years, for a decade, this country's going to start, have to figure out what happened on October 7th. How did they manage to do that? And, there's a lot of different factors, obviously, but there's definitely a technological factor here. Like, the intelligence was a colossal failure. And again, we're going to have to figure out why that is, but there's for sure technological element here. That's first of all. Second of all, there's the disinformation online, right? There's just the lies and the bots and all that. And again, we're failing. Yesterday I got kicked off of LinkedIn. kicked off.
Well, LinkedIn's terrible.
I got kicked off of LinkedIn yesterday.
Yeah, it's insane.
Thank God I have connections at the highest level, so the head of security at LinkedIn like reinstated my account in 2 seconds. This morning I got restricted on Facebook. Like they're coming after us they're just reporting, right? And the truth is like, I'm not blaming these platforms. Like they have no way to know. But like, at the end of the day, again, like obviously it's important to have the right relationships.
Actually, so Twitter was talking about X. Elon was saying that people that over-report or people that were reported, that gets reported a lot and turns out that they thought it was fine or reversed. Yeah. When people report you, it will actually water down its effect in the future.
Makes sense.
And if you report a hell of a lot of people and turns out the people that you reported shouldn't have been, that they were rejected, your reporting is going to lose its value.
Right.
So I think it's brilliant what he's doing there in regards to being able.
I wasn't sure when he bought Twitter.
Yeah, I remember you were so angry about it.
I'm not 100% sure yet either, but it's definitely improved. That's for sure. There's no question about it. But the bottom line is like there are the misinformation thing, the bots thing. Like there are easy ways, not easy, but there are technological ways to overcome this, and there are companies that are doing it.
There are two.
Cyabra, Cyabra?
Yeah, I was about to say Cyabra and Authentics is doing the authentication.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of Israeli cybersecurity.
And then there's the company that I posted the other day that's using their technology to detect. Usually they detect crypto fraud.
Right.
And now they're using it to seize Hamas funds.
Which maybe you want to talk about these? You want to?
Lionsgate is the name of the company.
Okay, great.
And they're basically using their technology to detect wires of crypto to Hamas, and they've seized tens of millions of dollars already. Amazing. Tens of millions.
Amazing.
So there's a lot going on the tech side, but I don't think we're scratching the surface because it came as a surprise to us. We didn't know obviously this was going to happen. War was brought upon us. We weren't prepared. So the tech ecosystem is so beautiful what's happening right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you know about Yitzhar Shai?
No.
Okay.
Sure.
So Yitzhar Shai was a tech investor who became a Chaver Knesset, a parliament member, and then he went back to being a tech investor. First of all, the most awesome dude in the world, but unfortunately his son was killed in the war.
Yeah.
And so he announced an unbelievable thing that for every casualty that we have in this war, we are going to build a startup in the next 12 months. So he has committed to building 1,400 startups. He's gotten together the best founders, the best investors. He's really going to do this. Like this isn't just like, we're trying to. No, he's actually going to. He has like a real initiative. Like he said, like a launch meeting coming up. Like yeah, so that's pretty. That to me like personified. That is Israeli tech.
I'm definitely going to have him on.
Yeah, for sure. That to me is like that. You want to know what Israeli tech is? You want to know what Israeli resilience is? That's Israeli resilience. This guy lost his son. Instead of drowning in sorrow, and which everyone would understand, no one would judge him.
Right.
The guy immediately gets up. He's like, "We're gonna, you know what? They're coming in our face. We're gonna show them our light. We're gonna innovate. We're gonna,
right.
And that's I always talk about this, but like, I don't want to get too biblical on you, but in ancient Egypt, right, when the Jews were in ancient Egypt for 210 years, we were enslaved. Which I just want to side point, like, we look at our situation today and we're like, there's no way this ends well. Like and that's true. The loss is the loss. We're never gonna forget, who we lost, but. It's important to take a step back and realize that, like, every single one of our holidays, like Purim. Right. You know what Purim was? Purim was genocide of the Jewish people.
Yeah.
Like, at the time, we were like, this is the worst disaster in the history of the Jewish people. And here we are, celebrating, right? So I have no doubt that one day we will look back at this and we will celebrate. But in ancient Egypt, the Torah says something super weird. It says, and I'm just going to translate to English, the more the Egyptians persecuted the Jews, the more they multiplied and flourished.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, what? You would think the more persecution, they do the opposite of flourish.
Right.
But that's Jewish nature.
But that's consistency with other things, to keep it Jewishly spiritual for a bit, is that whoever curses us will be cursed, and a curse to them is Jewish growth. And whoever blesses us will be blessed.
So that's really interesting. Did you hear what I quoted Rabbi Goldberg about that? You didn't hear? No. It's an unbelievable thing. Again, I'm getting all.
But for people that don't know how much content you put out, not able to.
I got to tell you something really, really beautiful. But again, you'll forgive me. We won't talk about the Bible after this, but this is such an important thing.
I think it would be cool to just do a whole spiritual segment of it around war sometime. But it would be.
So Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg is the Rabbi Boca Raton. It's like one of the most. He has a podcast called Behind the Bima, like super duper popular, and rightfully so. He's incredible. So he spoke here in my neighborhood a couple of, like last week or 2 weeks ago. And he said something unbelievable, like really unbelievable. And it's what you just said. It's the verse in the Torah in the portion of Lech Lecha, which was 2 weeks ago. God says to Abraham, leave your home, go to Israel, basically. And he says, there's a pasuk, there's a verse that says, those who bless you will be blessed, and those who curse you will be cursed. But there's a lack of parallel in the verse. Okay, and I'm just going to speak in Hebrew for 1 second, then I'll translate. It says, Va'avarcha, whoever blesses you, mivarechecha, will be blessed. Umekalelcha, whoever curses you, you would expect it to say akalel.
Right.
But it doesn't. It says aor. It just changes the terminology, and it's weird. It's like it begs the question, like, why didn't it just say va'avarcha mivarechecha umekalelcha akalel? Why does it say or? So what word does or have in it? Obviously, or.
Light.
Or means light. So this Rabbi Goldberg, said the most beautiful thing. He said, let me tell you how to read that verse. You're on our team, you stand by us in our darkest hour, you will be blessed. You get in our face, you'll see our light. You stand against us, you'll bring your darkness, we'll bring our light. We'll bring our unity, we'll bring our charity, you'll see the light of the Jewish people.
So last night I was interviewing Natan Levy, the Israeli UFC fighter, and we were talking about the growth of anti-Semitism and everything, and how it used to be the exact opposite just a few years ago, and especially in the UFC, there's a lot of genocidal calls within UFC fighters.
Crazy.
It's insane, and they don't do anything about it. But he said what they hate is that, and he's also talked about white nationalists, whatever, white racists too, that they hate seeing a strong Jew.
Yeah.
And now light, that they will see our light is our strength. They curse us, we'll get stronger, and that will be their punishment. Right. I mean, and they'll have to deal with our strength.
I ask myself on a daily basis, like, why? Why do they hate us? Like, it doesn't make any sense. The Jews have done nothing bad in this. We're only good.
Right.
Why do they hate us? It doesn't make any sense. And, we know in Judaism that there's an actual, rule.
Right.
Like, they're like, in our scripture, like, we know, Esav Sonel Yaakov, like, the non-Jews hate the Jews. That's just the way it is. Like, there's no logic, there's no reason, it's just the way it is. It's crazy, but like in every generation, anti-Semitism takes on a new face. And in our generation, it's anti-Zionism. Oh, it's just anti-Zionism. Like, and again, I don't know if you want to go into this, but like that sentence,
go
anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Dude,
insane.
are you freaking kidding me right now? Like, Zionism is the most core belief to Judaism. There's nothing more core.
Zion, Jerusalem is mentioned in the Torah a million times.
We pray to Zion 1,000 times a day.
Face Jerusalem.
Face Jerusalem for thousands of years. Oh, I don't hate Jews. I just don't think they deserve a home. Are you freaking kidding?
Jerusalem, right?
It's like, it's so ridiculous. It's the same thing.
But they're just parroting. They're already, these individuals are anti-Semites by default. And then they just parrot what they hear.
Right. It's a new excuse.
Right. So to bring back to tech. So large language models like OpenAI or Grok now, whatever. It was fascinating because I was thinking about the intelligence of the human being, right? How intelligent are we? We create our own thoughts and all that. And I was thinking, if we're able to call this intelligence, all it is saying it's just picking up a lot of repetition, and that it's seeing in language, and it's spitting it back to us, and it comes off as intelligent. And we each think, like these idiots that say anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, is that there is no intelligence there. They just hear, they read, and then they just spit it back out. It's just like the language models. And so I was thinking there's some kind of parallel here where what we perceive as intelligence, like human, like brain, like critical thinking intelligence, it's not. It's just parroting of what's already been inputted into you, whether it's a language model or they're doing it because they're watching the BBC or CNN or other anti-Semitic.
But the analogy, while I understand it, it fails at one place, and that is that human beings do have intelligence, real intelligence.
They have the potential. Yes.
Right. So, I mean, I wrote this post yesterday. We were just talking about it. Like, I dissected and debunked every single one of the lies. Like, these, like, again, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but, like, let's look at the most foundational principles of this war. Like, people around the world, like, the most foundational, what are they saying? Like, genocide. Genocide? Really?
Uh-huh. But they don't know what that word means.
No, but, dude, again, there's subjective opinion, and then there's fact. The Palestinian population has grown by hundreds of percentages. Hundreds. Like, genocide? We were freaking in Gaza yesterday with our tanks protecting the Gazans from Hamas. Genocide? So, like, you could say whatever you want, but, like, if you're a human being with a brain, you would actually look at the facts. Like, occupation? Dude, we dug up our dead. Do you know that?
I know. And we destroyed synagogues.
We left Gaza. There was not one. We ethnically cleansed Gaza from Jews. Occupation, like, so you could say that, but if you're an intelligent human being, you would open a book and you would look at the facts. You'd be like, there was not one Jew in Gaza. What
but no one's interested. But these people are already the biggest. They're not looking for facts. They're looking to use language to intentionally, so other people regurgitate.
So that's exactly the point. My point is, it's not like the language models, because here, it's not like, oh, I just don't know. It's not that they don't know the knowledge. They have access to the knowledge. What they're doing is they're taking their preconceived notions or their hatred of Jews and just, oh, look, here's a comfortable excuse. Let's call it genocide. What?
Because it serves their cause. That's all.
Okay, so these people, it's not that they don't know the facts. They don't want to know the facts.
Yeah, well, I also learned from bigots is that what they accuse you of, and radicals in general, they're usually, they do themselves.
Guilty of, yeah.
It's a lot of projection.
So, at the end of the day, just, it's a scary time for Jews outside of Israel. And don't get me wrong, like I understand the risks in Israel. Obviously, October 7th was the worst tragedy since the Holocaust for the Jews. But at the end of the day, in Israel, we are in the hands of our government, and how we retaliate, how we respond is up to us. Whereas in the States, a guy got beat to death 2 days ago in LA for, in a protest, pro-Israel protest.
An old Jew.
And has anybody been talking about it?
Now,
Nobody cares.
Doesn't cover it. They won't even persecute.
Nobody cares.
The police won't persecute.
Really?
They won't persecute. You think they're not getting persecuted?
How could that be?
Because
Wait, he murdered a guy.
Yes. So
he's not being persecuted.
How could you when they don't call it murder?
What does that mean? It's manslaughter. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Point is, my point is, in Israel, we are in control of our own fate, whereas Jews around the world, I'm pretty nervous about it. Like, also, Rabbi Goldberg said the same thing. He came here, he spoke, he said, guys, I'm here to support you, but you guys are going to be okay. Us, I don't know how Jews around the world are going to get out of this. Like Ivy League colleges, I don't know how I don't see a scenario in which it will be okay. I don't know when houses are being, marked with stars, a Star of David, and like, people are being beaten in the streets and posters being pulled. Like, how do they get out of this? I don't know, and it's very scary.
Right.
Really very scary.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we in Israel will be okay. We will win this. Please God, obviously it's in God's hands. But I don't think anyone debates or has any doubts that we're gonna win this and we're gonna eliminate Hamas from this planet. The big question is, the amount of pain and suffering we're gonna have to endure until we get there. And I hope it's minimal. But we lost 35 soldiers already since we went in.
Yeah.
So for them, we've killed 15,000 terrorists, right? Yeah. For them, 35 people, it's nothing. And the world likes to make that, you only 35 people, and which is the most morally bankrupt claim in you need more dead Jews for you to justify the war? Like, 600,000 people died in World War II, innocent civilians.
Right. Well, Britain bombed civilians.
It's ridiculous.
Germany. In fact, far more Germans were killed than civilians than any other country.
That to me, if you'd say to me, sum up this war in one word, that word is hypocrisy.
Right.
Like the level of hypocrisy.
That's going to be every war that Jews are involved in.
The level of hypocrisy.
Everything.
I read these things like Paul Graham, the guy who founded Y Combinator. I mean, I don't think anybody debates the fact that he's a full-blown anti-Semite, like blatant anti-Semite, not like whatever. I'm not going to name names, but I was talking to a big investor the other day, and I mentioned Paul Graham. He's like, oh, he's an anti-Semite. Like, there's no discussing. But the things that he tweets, like, you read his tweet. He blocked me, by the way. He blocked all Jews. I don't know if you go check him out, but the things that he tweets are insane. Mm-hmm. Like, just 2 days ago, again, Israel's warning Gazans to leave the south and go to northern Gaza. The north and go to southern Gaza, so that we can uproot the Hamas infrastructure, right? And so when they start to leave, what does Hamas do? They execute them because they don't want them leaving, right? So Israel pulls up with a tank, defends the Gazans against Hamas, risks our own soldiers so that they can leave safely. What does freaking these anti-Semites say? Look at how they're forcing people to evacuate their homes under gunfire. Oh my God, like, the hypocrisy, the lies are at a level that I've never seen before. It's not even like subjective, oh, that's your opinion. It's just blatant, objective historical fabrications. Like, dude, I mean, it goes, again, we could talk about this for hours, but like, just, you have a brain in your head. If you have a brain in your head, logic should be part of the way you think. And like,
okay, do you think?
Let me just tell you one thing.
Yeah.
If A causes B, okay, if A causes B, then logic dictates that if you remove A, B won't happen, right? I mean, that's just basic logic. If A causes B, exactly. So if A causes B and you remove A, then B should not have happened.
Right.
If occupation causes Palestinian terror, remove the occupation, there should be no terror. But forget remove. How about we go back to where there was no quote-unquote occupation? How about we go back before the establishment of the State of Israel? 1929. There's no establishment. There's no Israel. There's no occupation. Arabs massacred Jews in Hebron. Why? So don't tell me it's the occupation. So this is basic logic that any person with a brain understands. But
the problem is, I think you're focusing on the brain and not the heart and the intentions.
Yeah.
Is that their logic is, I despise Jews.
Right.
My life mission is to destroy Jews.
Right.
What can I say? This is the effect. What can I cause to help bring my goal of the effect?
I gotta tell you.
Therefore, the only logic that they have is the destruction of Jews. You said for some reason, spiritually in the Torah, nothing's ever changed thousands of years. Is that non-Jews
hate Jews?
Will hate Jews,
Yeah.
and of course the many great are, and there are many exceptions, of course.
Right.
But we're talking we see this historically repeating itself. But their goal is to destroy Jews.
Yeah.
So what is he going to do? He's going to say, what can I do to help destroy? And the mean justifies the eggs.
Right.
The ends.
Yeah.
I was confusing that and to make an omelet, got to break a few eggs, which is like.
Let me tell you something. Bringing it back to marketing, I'm just going to share a dilemma that I have, and I have this dilemma every single day. What should be our narrative? Right, because we're a victim, you hate us is not a good narrative.
Oh no, it's the opposite.
No, I know. So hold on. There's a couple of options, right? We're a victim is not a good narrative. The West is next. You should be terrified. Not a great narrative. Like fear.
It's
fear
true, but it's,
right. Both of those are true. But
Right.
but does it, and then I ask the fundamental. Maybe no matter what our narrative was going to be, it won't help anyway. So why even bother? And then I tell myself, no, there are people on the fence, whatever. But like, I think that and there is a lot going on behind the scenes in terms of Israel advocacy. There are groups, there are whatever, and I'm part of many of them. But at the end of the day, I don't think that there is a fundamental agreement about what our narrative should be. Whereas our enemies, they have their narrative down pat.
Right.
Look what they're doing. They're oppressing us. They're genocide. What is our narrative? And so, from a marketing perspective, this is something that I think, when this war is over, I'm going to be part of it, but we're going to get together, you'll be part of it too, some of the brightest minds in Israel, and we're going to sit and we're going to be like, okay, when, not if, because it's always, when it happens next, what is our narrative? What is the story we're telling the world?
The narrative is, in my opinion, indigenous justice. And I think those are two. I think we lose our justice when we trade terrorists or anyone for even hostages. We lose our justice. When we say we want peace, so we're going to leave our own land for thousands of years, we lose our justice.
You're forgetting one thing, dude, and this is so fundamental, and that is that, again, the Jewish nation, right? We have many characteristics, but we are described in Jewish scripture as a compassionate nation. We are a compassionate nation, and so, compassion is a very good thing. But when you use compassion to the excess, you use it excessively, or you use it where it doesn't apply, that's when destruction happens, right? And again,
I never said the word compassion.
No, I understand, but like, let's give them land. Oh, we have to do everything to bring our prisoners back.
Right.
That's compassion.
Oh no, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I disagree. And also sometimes it's too much compassion on ourselves that we feel so wounded, we want to lick our wounds instead of doing what's right. Our strategy is always immediately what makes us feel better. There's no long-term strategy. The lack of long-term strategy in Israel, we haven't seen it for decades.
We're not strategic thinkers.
Well, we are in every way, but national.
Not really. Are we strategic in tech?
I think
so.
that's a good point. Here's an opportunity.
That's why we do what we do.
Right.
Because we bring strategy.
Right. Right.
But at the end of the day, sorry, I got to bring in the Torah one more time.
Why are you sorry?
I don't know.
See that, but that's part of the problem.
Yeah, maybe.
We
got to own it.
What do you mean? You're talking about we're indigenous. We were always here. There's always a Jewish presence here.
Right.
It's not a coincidence that we're here. It's not a coincidence that we win these insane wars that would just miracles.
So I got to tell you.
So I mean, and then to say I'm sorry, I got to bring in
the Torah
or spiritual or history.
Where's our Jewish pride?
It's all the same, but it's history too, Jewish history.
So,
and lessons learned. So if we're not, then where's the strategy if we're not willing to look back to learn?
Right.
And so I think that's part of the problem is that we have this thing is that I'm embarrassed to talk about Jewish history. I'm embarrassed to talk about Jewish spirituality. I'm embarrassed to talk about that we're one nervous system.
Yeah.
Like why?
I'll tell you why.
Why are we and even you feel like I'm sorry to bring that?
Because Western civilization, specifically wokeism, emphasizes the future and leaves the past out. We don't want the past. I mean, again, I obviously agree with you, but I just want to say that, like, and you know how every Friday I sign off for Shabbat and I posted like a Torah piece, whatever, and I always try to give like a lesson that's not only relevant to like observant Jews because my audience is not observant. So it's usually just a generic message of leadership or whatever. And I got to tell you, like, I'm not like a voodoo kind of Jew, but like, you don't realize this. Nobody realizes. I don't really talk about it, but every single Friday, that thing that I write just lands in my head. Like, I don't know where it comes from. It's unbelievable. For 4 years I've been doing this already. Just every Friday, boom, I get this idea. So this past week, again, it just popped into my head. But like, we're in Genesis, the book of Genesis, and Abraham is given many tests by God. Many tests, right? Leave your home, sacrifice your son, all of it, right? Sodom. He has all kinds of different tests. And the obvious question that everyone asks is like, how could God tell him to kill his son? Like, how could God do that to him? He promised him that Isaac is going to be the future of the Jewish people, and now he's going to tell him to sacrifice it? That's nuts. And how does he tell him to leave his home and leave his family? Like, what is the underlying, what is going on here? What is really going on here? And in this week's portion, or last week's portion, there's the whole story of Sodom, which is God says there's this city that's just full of corruption and evil, and I'm going to destroy it. And Abraham argues with God and says, maybe there's some righteous people there, you really shouldn't destroy it. And he argues, and God listens. But at the end, there aren't righteous people there, and he destroys the city. But two people survive, Lot and Lot's wife. And they're walking out of the city. Lot's wife turns around.
They were told, don't turn around.
Don't turn around. She turns around and she becomes a statue of salt.
Right.
So like, you got to ask, what is going on here? Like, this is just weird. Like, what is the story? What is the underlying story? And again, I just made this up. I didn't see this anywhere, but to me, it makes complete sense, which is God looks at Abraham and says, all right, what is Abraham's most fundamental characteristic? Abraham was a man of charity, of welcoming guests into his home, of being kind, right? Being gentle. God says, I'm going to test you. I'm going to take your most fundamental characteristic and I'm going to see if you know how to put that aside when it shouldn't be applied. Go leave your home. And Abraham's like, what, my family, go leave your home. I'm God and I'm telling you to leave your home. Put aside your compassion for now. Go sacrifice your son.
Right,
He's saying to him, Abraham, listen, I get it. You're a compassionate guy, but I'm God and I'm telling you to do something and I want to see if you believe in me or not. Put aside your compassion. And then in the story of Sodom, Abraham's like, listen, I'm a compassionate guy. Don't destroy a city. God's like, he listens, and at the end, he does it. And then here's the kicker, right? Why does she turn into a statue of salt? Like, what's that about? Made it up. I don't know if this is true or not, but it makes sense to me. She's walking out, and she feels that compassion. She turns around, she goes, oh my God, there are innocents there. How could you, right? Humanitarian crisis in Sodom, right? How could you do that? She turns around in compassion, and God makes her salt. Why? What's salt? Think of the characteristics of salt.
Right.
Salt can make something beautiful. Compassion is beautiful. But if you use it in the wrong place,
wrong.
You put salt in your cup of Coke, that's nasty.
Right.
Or you put too much salt in, you use compassion too much,
Right.
It's destructive.
Right.
So, all the stories are, you're a compassionate guy, I'm God, I'm going to put you to the test and see if you could put your compassion aside and apply it when it applies and not apply it when it shouldn't be applied. But the problem is we're compassionate people and we don't know how to differentiate between when it should be used and not.
So I think based on what you just said, not specifically, but in general, your thought process and your logic, is that we need to not be compassionate, but we're wise people. I think that's...
No, we should be compassionate.
I think,
not always, though.
I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying the focus should be more on wisdom. I think there's a lack of wisdom. It's, hey, what's going to work? It's more tactic. It's not long-term strategy. It's not looking back historically. I think there's a lack of wisdom in Judaism, in our leadership, in Jewish leadership.
I don't know that I agree with that. I don't know. I don't see wisdom and compassion as mutually exclusive.
I know. I never said that.
Why do you? I understand, but why?
I'm by no means doing that. I mean, actually, I think often they're correlated. I just think if our focus was more on wisdom, I'm not saying less on compassion, but a greater focus on wisdom.
I mean,
because I think that's what we're always thinking. I think that's we respond to things without wisdom, And I think we even fear wisdom because sometimes doing the wise thing means doing the hard thing. It feels good to be compassionate,
right?
But to do the wise thing,
right,
we're not willing to do because it's something, it doesn't feel right.
Right. So I'll tell you,
it is the right thing.
If you'd ask me, and I don't know, just to be
obviously
full disclaimer, I don't know the answer to this question.
Our goal here is to maybe unpack and get inside a brain,
right?
And maybe people can take something with it and
right.
at their level and build on our ideas that some are good, some are flawed.
Right.
Some are terrible.
Right.
Some are brilliant.
So right? I don't know. I don't think anyone knows how October 7th happened. We don't know. We're going to know one day. We don't know. And again, disclaimer, I'm not pointing fingers. Like, there's only one person to blame here, and that's Hamas. Like, there's no, it happened because of this, it happened because of that. And that's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that if you'd ask me, based on the zero knowledge that I have, just philosophically, how did it happen? It happened because in the last round of violence with Islamic Jihad, Hamas sat it out. And Hamas has been relatively quiet. And we, as a compassionate people, were like, oh, Hamas, they're our buddies now. Let's just leave them alone. Like, right. And they're accumulating sophisticated weapons from Iran, and we're just sitting there. Like, dude.
Right. So, but where's the wisdom?
Okay. So I'm saying, like, these
compassion will blind you.
Right. These soldiers who were looking into Gaza, they saw activity on the border, and they're like, They apparently, I don't know if this is true. Apparently, they reported it, and like the government or the political side was like, they're just they're having picnics. Like, dude, they're doing something on the border there. And like, we're compassionate people. It's like, they'll be fine. Here, and again, it goes even deeper than that. And this is, to me, if you'd ask me, the deepest, the real most fundamental problem with the way the West views radical Islam is a very simple thing. We in the West have certain core values, certain core things that we know to be true because we live in the West. For example, if I treat you with dignity, you're going to treat me with dignity.
Right.
Just like basic, obviously, that's just how humans behave.
But
that's not how radical Islam behaves.
Correct.
You can treat them as well as you want. They want you dead because you're an infidel. it doesn't work. It's like, oh, let's give them land. They're like, we don't want land. We want dead Jews. Like, no, they don't mean it. They don't mean it.
I know,
like,
right?
Listen
but
to
that's
them.
between compassion and wisdom. It's the same thing.
Right.
But the same thing. I mean, Germany, scarred by what they have done, Nazi Germany imports in mass radical anti-Semites. You don't need this. There's Pew Research of this.
Right.
Rather, the Pew Research of from 12 years ago. What are the opinion of Jews of Gaza residents and residents Arabs and Judeans? 97% quote according to Pew have an unfavorable opinion of Jews. Unquote. Okay?
Oh my God.
All right? And then 0% had a favorable in Gaza and 1% did of the Arabs and Judea and Samaria. So wisdom, compassion would say, oh, they're like me, let's bring in these people in mass. They just want a better life. There's that. Because they think if they were to migrate willingly, it would be economically for a better life, or maybe they found someone they loved on the other side of the world, so they want to go join them, or maybe a job opportunity, whatever. But these people are anti-Semitic in mass, will destroy their country, like anti-Semites did when it was grown within Germany.
Right. I don't know about you, but I've never had more moral clarity than I have right now. Like I can't. Usually, generally speaking, in all conflicts around the world, there's generally somewhat of a two-sided equation. Somewhat. The other side has some legitimacy. Like there's some. And after October 7th, when that happened, you know me, I'm a cup half full kind of guy, and I'm like, okay, at least, the world's going to stand by Israel now. Like, there's no way in the world that a human being with a brain and a heart will side with Hamas. That's not an option. Like, I don't see a scenario in which that happens. And here we are with the world siding. It's insane. So for me, it's like I have crystal clear moral clarity. It's like there's good and there's evil, and if you don't see this, then you are evil. Like, if you side with Hamas, let's just say it as it is. In any way, shape, or form, if you do not side with Israel in this war, you are supporting murder and rape. It's not even an oversimplified statement. If you are siding with Hamas, you are siding with a terrorist organization that does what they did. In fact, the big question, and this is something that someone tweeted, I don't remember who tweeted it, but it's brilliance in its simplicity. If Hitler was alive today, which side would he side with?
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's it, period. Right. If you are siding with Hamas, just know you are
right.
siding with the side that Hitler would have sided with.
And even many of them, because they say like, who are if I lived during that time, I would be one of these very, very, very few righteous people. Yeah, right. And come on, the overwhelming majority of them, especially when you put your own life in danger. Yeah. Now it's so easy to just say something that's black and white just to make a comment. Yeah. And people won't even do that.
I'll tell you why though, because again,
these people would gladly, they would push the Nazi agenda.
But again, I'm going to go even deeper. I think foundationally, the virtue of truth, aka facts, is no longer a virtue in the Western world. Like it doesn't, sorry to get politically incorrect here, but like.
So what would you shouldn't apologize to people?
No, like
politically correct.
If you're telling me that you are a woman, you are ignoring facts. Like you are not a woman, you are a man. No. If you identify as a woman, dude, stop with your BS. Like there's science, right? Like if you're gonna come to me and say to me, the sky that's blue is actually brown, you're a moron. You're not, oh, we're different. It's not moral relativism. You're right and I'm right. No, I'm right and you're wrong. And that's it. There are facts, there's science. But in the Western world, there's no facts. As Ben Shapiro says.
Facts are good.
Right.
But so again, that's more compassion than wisdom. Because if I were to believe something, if I were to buy into something that was a lie, like that's not true. Let's say, forget what's going on in that person's head. But the person's a man, believes they're a woman, or vice versa. Whatever. That's in their mind. Forget it. But if I were to buy into that,
what do you mean it's in their mind? They're making us call them by their pronouns. What are you talking about?
Those, yeah. People that force you, obviously.
And the world,
that's a control thing.
Western society accepts this. Do you understand?
But it's fascinating. I think it's come back to compassion over wisdom. Is that people want to feel good about themselves, so they come off as compassionate, as opposed to doing the right and hard thing. The wisdom is saying no.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. I don't know that wisdom. I would call it. I don't think wisdom. Whatever. Anyway, we agree. We agree. Yeah, 100%. I would say truth.
Right.
It's truth versus compassion, not wisdom.
Right, but you need to go backwards and think.
But you have to look at the truth. And so at the end of the day, again, the lack of the virtue of truth or facts is because it's not a virtue in the Western world, that manifests in a million different ways. One of them being war. One of them being a war between a savage, barbaric terrorist organization and a moral army that does objectively, factually, there's no debating this, more than any other army in the world to minimize civilian death. And they do everything to maximize civilian death. These are objective facts. There is no denying them. You can deny them, but just know that you're ignoring facts. And that's fine, because in Western society, facts are not a virtue. It's crazy. The whole world is backwards, and like I think about this all the time. Like, after 120 years, I go up to God and like we're all gonna go, and God's gonna be like, do you see how backwards your world was? Like, how did you not call it out? So I call it out all day long, but like millions and millions of people around the world, they just accept it. Like, dude, that's what you're saying is factually, scientifically inaccurate. It's a lie. No. I identify as a dog. Dude, stop it. But like, the world just doesn't care. It's just, who cares about facts? It's crazy. It's a crazy world we live in. It's backwards. It's terrifying.
Do people know that they're not being factual? They don't. The facts aren't even in the part of the equation.
When someone,
for the 90% to go along to get along, that buy into this bullshit. Whether it's literally the Jewish survival or people are identifying as dogs or whatever.
Dude, if you want to believe something, you could find any justification you want.
But we're talking about masses. We're not talking about individuals.
Yeah, I'm saying masses. Western civilization believe what they believe.
No, I'm just saying facts never enter the equation.
Yeah, so you could show, again, that post I did was facts. But many people wrote in the comments, which I, by the way, disagree with, but many people wrote like, you're speaking to, like, you're speaking in an echo chamber, like no one's listening. Like, anti-Semites don't care about facts, which is true. But if I can get a little heavy on you, like my late brother Ari, who was murdered in a terrorist attack, he taught me many things and he left many legacies in the world, but one of them was definitely, don't ignore someone who's speaking falsehoods because they're not listening, because there are millions of people watching this dialogue.
That's exactly right. That's what I learned. So when you've conversation, like let's say even if you're publicly speaking or one-on-one or whatever, being interviewed on TV or now here, it's that I'm not the audience. You're not the audience. This is a conversation for people watching.
Right.
And to understand that it's actually, especially with technology, with the camera, it will be broadcasted to many people. And if you can move a little bit, half of 1% of people's percent, that's huge.
You know how many people have written me over the war, like things like, I had no idea. Really? Is that true? I didn't know that. Oh my!
Right.
Like,
seeing that now. I'm seeing that on podcasts. Like
hundreds of people
can't believe like they're seeing what
don't
kindergartners
know.
do in Gaza.
They just don't know.
They just march and about killing Jews.
So I like to split it up into like three groups of people basically, right? It's the people that literally just don't know. It's not that they just don't know the facts. They believe what they see in Sky News. They don't know the facts. These people, if you educate them, some of them are open-minded enough to realize that they don't know, right? And there's a second group that is, you can show them facts till you're blue in the face. They have this preconceived notion. They believe what they believe. They're not going to listen to you no matter what. Then there's the third group, which are full-blown anti-Semites who just they'll believe conspiracy theories that Israel did October 7th or that Israel did 9/11. It doesn't even matter if there's any basis in truth. They hate us, and they're going to look for excuses. And if it's not this excuse, it'll be that excuse.
Right, exactly.
Those people are hopeless. Like I'm not even, But the first two potentially would be worth our time and effort.
Yeah, but many of their followers aren't.
Right. I mean, listen.
I'm just saying. I know many of these people.
Did you see my tweet the other day where I asked people to tell me if they support Israel? Did you see that?
Oh, the robot. If you're a robot,
No.
To
I
prove you're human.
I tweeted and I said, Jews around the world feel very alone. Mm-hmm. Like we feel like everyone's against us. And I would really love to know if that's the case. And if you unequivocally stand with Israel, there's no question, you are with Israel in this war, just reply to this tweet with either me or a flag, an Israeli flag. That's all. Just write me or flag. I mean, I could check right now, but it's tens of thousands of replies. Right. I did the same thing on LinkedIn, dude. It's just like you keep scrolling.
Right.
Like thousands. And now, obviously, that's anecdotal. That's not millions.
Right.
But I don't know. In fact, I would say I do know that what we see on social media is not reflective of reality. I don't think there's even close to a majority of the Western world that sides with Hamas. It's not even close. I think by far, I don't know how to quantify it, but I think by far the majority of the people, even the governments, side with Israel, by far. But then there are the people that are the most vocal, right? They're the ones.
But politics is downstream from culture, and the problem is people that control the culture of the news, of the universities.
The news is the big problem.
Of the media, of all of this, as social media.
Media is the biggest problem.
The social media blocks people out just for putting out pro-Jewish content. But Hamas is,
but bro,
Nazis are allowed to run rampant.
It's built that way. You have to understand.
But what I'm saying is that it's politics, what you're worried, and the masses. It's down from the people that hold the bottlenecks of culture.
Right.
And that bottlenecks of culture are by really evil people.
Well, wait, so that's where I'll push back. Because yes, there are some evil people. There's no question about that. But I think there's a problem that exists in media in all its forms, and that is that it is built, like fundamentally built, to encourage lies. Whether it's the algorithm, whatever it is, but like if I'm a reporter in CNN, I know that I will get a raise at work if I get a zillion clicks on my article. How do I get a zillion clicks on my article? If I write Jewish man beat to death, and I think that's not interesting. It's not. No one cares. No one cares. No. But if I write Israeli man murders Palestinian in cold blood, I'm getting a zillion clicks.
Right.
Is it true? No. Who cares? Who cares? So media is built for clicks. Clicks, lies facilitate clicks. Social media, same thing. The algorithm, it facilitates, it encourages lies because it shows me my echo chamber and it shows the Palestinians their echo chamber. And so it's a cycle. It never ends. And so to me, addressing the lies or misinformation on social media, addressing the horrible titles on CNN, that's putting a Band-Aid. You have to, the sickness, the disease is that something has to change in the entire structure or infrastructure of how media works. And it reminds me in a way of Lemonade, right? Lemonade, the insurance company, right? Why is it so brilliant? It's brilliant for a lot of reasons, but why is it so brilliant? Because insurance companies have a built-in paradox. By definition, you're paying an insurance company every month. If you get into a crash tomorrow or you lose something tomorrow, they have to pay you out of their wallet. So they have an incentive not to pay you. Right. So they're going to do everything they can not to pay you. Right. So, and I can't tell you how because I know very little about insurance, but somehow Lemonade was able to crack that conflict, was able to crack that paradox. And they made it, in a way that insurance companies don't have incentive to not pay you. And I don't know how they do it exactly, but that is to me one of the most fundamental reasons that Lemonade is so successful. I think we need to stop addressing, again, the bad titles, the bad tweets. That is just a symptom. We have to figure out a way that, to prevent media in all of its forms from encouraging lies.
Yeah, I think X's community notes have been terrific.
Yeah, I agree.
I've been a huge deal. I was one of the few people that were a big fan of his acquisition.
I agree. I want to know how I get a person, like how I could become the person that writes community notes.
Talk to me. I already have a friend that's doing it.
So do I. He's a young guy. I don't know how.
No, I have a friend who's in his 50s. But
and how did that? I will talk about afterwards.
Yeah.
But in any case, listen.
And I recommend people to because a lot of anti-Semites are looking to try to use community notes.
The lies are just unbelievable.
They will find any opportunity.
It's crazy.
The cat and mouse game is very difficult. It's always trying.
Right, but you remember Peter Lerner? Peter Lerner was the spokesman of the IDF for many years. So I don't know how many years ago, probably 8 years ago, he called me into his office one day and he goes, "How are we going to win this war? How are we going to win this war?" On Twitter, how are we going to win this war? And I said, Peter, if you're looking at, when you say win this war, if you're looking at the numbers, we'll never win. Right. By definition, they outnumber us by a massive whatever, and also they have no need to stick to the truth. They can say whatever they want. We are smaller, and we have to stick to the truth, so we'll never win that game of numbers. But somewhere, I want to believe, as cliche as it is, that truth will prevail, that good will win. I want to believe that. But right now, no matter how good our narrative is, no matter how many influencers we have on our side, no matter what we do on social media, we are never going to win that war. And we need to understand that. And we need to maybe shift focus from winning the numbers, which we'll never win, to something else. I don't know what that something else is, but we're never going to win that.
Right.
Which is sad, but it's reality.
Right. Back to, let's circle back to Israeli-Tech for a minute. So we'll talk about actually coming out of the war, then I want to talk about in general, the Israeli-Tech. What kind of advancements do you think we'll see in Israeli technology in response to this war? Because a lot of war, a lot of economic activity is when a lot of things are forced, a lot of things. So I have some ideas, but I kind of want to hear from you. How do you think maybe if we look back in 3 years, 5 years, and we look back, we've leapfrogged, in my opinion, I think we will in many ways, technologically, because of the war, the response to the war, the response to the community, the tech community, and now we're maybe doubling in on our network and et cetera. How do you see things changing technologically in Israel?
I mean, I think, first of all, in an ironic kind of way, we're going to go back to our roots, which is cyber, right? Because this entire war is like, we're failing. Like, on the cyber front, we're failing. So we're going to...
Can you elaborate?
I mean, my accounts are getting mass reported. Again, because I have the right connections, I'm doing okay. And LinkedIn reinstates my account, Facebook reinstates my account, Instagram.
Right, but how will Israeli cyber going to make an impact on
We're going to have to figure out a way to find bots. So it's that, but it's a lot more than that. I think the fact that that our enemies, Hamas, has this disadvantage of these tunnels and everything else, all of their advantage of the tunnels. We're at a disadvantage, and many other things in this war that we just aren't really dealing with because we don't know how do you deal with this tunnel. They built an entire city under Gaza, and we have solutions here and there, but we haven't. I need an Iron Dome for the tunnels. But the Iron Dome, literally, without an exaggeration, from my perspective, is the most magical technology of our generation.
Right.
Daniel Gold, the inventor. I sat with him and he told me how this came to be. It's a wild story. Rockets were raining down on Israel, and he's like, we need to do something about this. And he put together an A-team, and the A-team's like, okay, here are the solutions. They came up with 50-something solutions, and he's just like, nope. He's like, I want to detonate the rockets midair. And he went to the army to fund it, and they're like, you can't detonate a rocket midair. It's not
It
possible.
was like $250 million in funding too. That was the most amazing part.
Yeah, but everyone said it's impossible. He went to the government, they said it's impossible. Went to the U.S. government, everyone said it's impossible. And so he put together the team, he funded it, not out of his own pocket, and he built it. And I mean, I don't know the number exactly, but the precision is insane.
Yeah,
you know, and
it's
so
90%, I think.
I don't want to give it a jinx, but like we've basically dealt with that threat of the rockets. We've dealt with it. Obviously there are failures. Every technology has failures, but we've dealt with it. We have, as far as I know, we have no real technology to deal with these tunnels. Like there are solutions, but I think after this war, you know, someone's going to have to figure that out. And that's just one example. I think generally speaking, there are several areas in this war where we are at a disadvantage because we don't have a solution to that problem. Whether it's innocence and God, there's a million problems. And I think that if anything could solve those problems after the war, it's technology. There are a lot of problems, and I think that we're going to have an entire military tech ecosystem, like arise after. Yeah, it does. I mean, now it doesn't really exist in Israel.
Right.
Yeah, there are Elbit, there are solutions and military tech companies, but food tech is the fastest growing ecosystem in the world. Israel is the fastest growing food tech ecosystem in the world. Military tech, like it's ironic that we don't, but can you name 10 military tech companies in Israel? I can't.
No.
Right?
6.
It's weird if you think about it, right? Like we have all the other verticals. Israel's kicking butt, right?
Well, but when you say you refer more to hardware in a sense.
Not necessarily.
Because I mean, a lot of military, a lot of cybersecurity. I have some clients that do like
even facial
cyber for drones.
Even facial recognition.
Right.
Like when we unlock our phones, we use Face ID, which was developed by an Israeli company. And we have capabilities, but like, and I don't know this is possible. Maybe this is a fairy tale what I'm saying right now, science fiction. But like, I mean, if Orcam can use technology to help blind people see, there's got to be a way, and I don't know, maybe I'm dreaming, there's got to be a way, I think, of somehow using sentiment recognition, like looking at a person's face and seeing, is this person a threat?
Oh, that already exists.
Yeah, but why can't we do that in Gaza? Why can't we say this is a terrorist, this is not a terrorist? I don't know, maybe it's crazy what I'm saying, I have no idea, but I'm just saying, like, I think after this war there's going to be a whole ecosystem born of military tech. That I think is going to happen, and I think that, and sorry to bring up a sore topic, but before the war that we were fighting was the judicial reform, and I'm sure you saw my articles. My message was one. I didn't even say if I support or I'm against the reform. My message was, we are going to get past this, and Israeli tech and the Israeli society will be stronger in 1 year from now than it ever was.
That's what I said. After the thing,
and everyone's like, you're crazy. Israel's disintegrating. Where everyone's leaving.
Because the Israeli media is just as inflammatory.
I don't think anybody has any doubt now that when this war, because what is the Jewish people's strongest characteristic? It's unity.
Correct.
Like when we're unified, dude, no one can mess with us. And again, like in the Torah, right? We stood at Mount Sinai like one man with one heart. We were unified. That is when we're strongest. And now, I mean, I don't know about you, but I can't remember there was such unity in the Jewish people.
I was telling a friend of mine, my wife's cousin, who's looking to make Aliyah. She came on a trip, birthright. She's like, I want to go. First time. This summer, she was like, all right, she was going to come. And because the war broke out, and like her dad's like, oh no, you shouldn't get your nursing degree or whatever. And I was WhatsApping her, and I was telling her like the unity here you're missing on the most amazing life experience. And
it's unbelievable.
My daughter's got a bat mitzvah in a week and a half, and some of my family canceled. My mom and my sister are still coming. I was telling my sister who intends to make Aliyah in a year, and I was like, what you're gonna experience as a unity, as like a nervous, like it is an amazing experience.
It's unbelievable.
What we're living through is absolutely phenomenal, and I believe that we're gonna see tech not just because we need to respond and figure these things out, but I think the amount of efficiency and speed and dedication and morale behind getting this technology out and helping each other, I think is going to be huge.
Yeah, no
question.
It's
going to be unparalleled. I think so. The amount of just the speed, I think, of which, and the fact that we want to prioritize.
Right.
So there's like, I obviously pushing more now the iron beam, right? The laser that would cost a couple.
I don't know very much about it, but it's apparently like insane technology.
Yeah. So America supposedly already hasn't started putting on warships.
Yeah.
But they've tested it, but it hasn't been used in battle yet.
Right.
So
I'll tell you something. This is something that I've only recently come to this realization, but because of many factors, but social media definitely being one of the main ones, everything's on 10x speed. Everything's faster than ever before. So, for example, in the worst possible way, the transition from dangerous rhetoric against Jews to actual violence and murder took a month.
Right.
You know how long it took in Germany? Years of Hitler's propaganda until they decided to do what they did. This took a month. So social media speeds things up, and it has bad effects and it has good effects. And so I think, as soon as this war ends, or actually not even as soon as this war, we know what's happening now. People are building startups, whatever. As soon as this war ends, we're going to see, in my opinion, a surge like that. I think Israeli-Tech's going to be on turbo speed, and
Right.
I think we're going to, I was going to say explode, not a very good word to use, but Israeli-Tech is going to do things that we've never done before in terms of speed, in terms of volume, in terms of deep tech, in terms of everything.
Right.
Whether it's on the impact side, the cancer treatments, things like that, to enterprise, the whole thing, hardware, so everything. I think today, is there a vertical of technology at all in which Israel's not a dominant player? Is there even such a thing? What our weakest thing was always consumer. We were always we're 9 million people. How do you build consumer?
Right.
Now
You're starting to see that too.
that's
right?
starting. What are you talking about, dude? What are you kidding me? Lightrix, Orcam,
I
Fiverr, all of them. We have massive,
Fiverr, yeah. So-
dude. We have massive multi-billion-dollar consumer companies in Israel. Massive.
Yes. I think we still have a long way to go. Do you think? So I think one of the places we can make the greatest advance is space technology.
100%.
Whoever controls space controls the Earth, in my opinion. We see that with Starlink, right? Elon Musk Starlink. You said satellites, being able to, there are 1,000 satellites in orbit. You can see things as fine as anything from space. The camera technology, obviously, is a big component of that.
Yeah.
Being able to launch satellites here instead of being dependent on America, things like that.
Yep.
One of our challenges are because we're so small, being able to launch them. Do you think, or have you heard or anything about, in general, even before the war, I've always been saying we need to move into space technology?
Dude, we detonated a rocket in space.
I understand that, but I just because we have done that.
we
the direction we've done, we
Yeah,
can,
we haven't
but that's
seen-
more. I understand that.
We have insane space technology. Insane. Yariv Bash, you know who that is?
No.
Yariv Bash is the now CEO of Flightrex, which is drone deliveries. But before that, he was the CEO of Space IL that landed on the moon, right?
Crash on the moon.
Yeah, but it landed.
I know.
I'm saying the technology needed to do that is insane. So yeah, I've met some crazy space tech companies. Obviously, I can understand 5% of what they're saying.
Right.
But
I love this. I'm so
no,
fascinated.
Space is the next. There's
Right.
no question
So
about
the
it.
reason why I think I was looking into I was thinking back in Israeli-Tech, and I was like, where are the trends going? And when I see where we are now, and trying to be looking back, it's that people come from Shimon HaMatayim, the 8200 in the army, and so it's like, okay, our cybersecurity success actually stemmed from the military needing it for defense. We're seeing that with AI or machine learning, etc. And then I think the bigger need for space, I think what we should expect is a lot more, in my opinion, a lot more space technology going to be introduced as startups. I think we'll see that in the next decade because of changes happening in the Israeli Defense Forces.
Right. It's funny because who, in my opinion, is the most forward-thinking visionary of our time? Clearly Elon Musk, clearly. And every single one of his companies, when he came up with the idea, the world thought he was insane.
Yeah.
What do you mean fully electric? At the time, Tesla was decades ahead of everyone else, right? And the same is true for all SpaceX, reusing that's crazy, all of it. The tunnels, the Boring Company, all of it. Everything he's doing is crazy, right? But he does it. He pulls it off. And I don't think there's any debate or doubt about what Elon Musk thinks about space. We are going to be living on Mars, according to Elon Musk, which again seems crazy to us, but if anyone can do it,
track record. That's when he bought Twitter. I was like, if there's anyone that can turn this shit around.
Exactly. So I don't know. I don't know anything about space. I don't know about you, but these people who pay for these crazy space exploration things, these millionaires or billionaires.
Fun, yeah.
Dude, you couldn't pay me enough money to go to space.
It's too early.
You could, bro.
What about Neuralink? Would you put a chip in your brain?
Bro, we'll talk about that in a second, bro. The fear of just being in space, just black.
Oh, that.
Terrifying. My God, that is not for me.
Do you sleep in a dark room?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but the space scares the hell out of me. The only thing that scares me more than space is the ocean.
Oh, I can see that.
My worst nightmare is falling off a cruise.
So my 3 favorite scientists personally, not
falling off a cruise, though. Just about falling off a cruise.
Oh, yeah.
You can't get back up, right? The cruise is 20 feet. You can't do anything. You're in the middle of the ocean. In all directions, you see black. Holy crap, that's scary. That to me is the scariest thing. But
done.
as far as the chip in your brain, I have a very controversial opinion on this, and I have this discussion with many people, family members, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't understand why anyone would not do that.
I'm very pro it too.
Like, why would you
I don't
not
want to
do
be
that?
the guinea pig.
No, but like if okay, of course it has to be safe. But like if I could implant a chip into my brain,
and I can learn a
it gives
language
me,
like this,
it gives me all the knowledge in the world.
why would I do it?
Why would I not do that? Like,
Right.
so people are like, no, you gotta learn. Why do I need to learn? Like, here's the thing.
It's like when they said when I was in high school, you won't always have a
calculator.
calculator on
Yeah,
you, right? This and that.
But like, here's the thing. As human beings, we have things that we've done and have always done, and so to us, it's like that's the default. You need to do. You need to go to school.
Right.
But do you? Yeah, because you're not going to get. If you want to be educated, you can't be educated without school. This is the avenue. But I'm like, wait a second. You can bypass that avenue.
Right.
Put a chip in your brain.
Right.
Why would I need to do this if I could do this? It's like why drive in a Fiat?
Go to real life and get a job.
Why drive a Fiat if I could drive a Lamborghini?
Right.
Right. So at the end of the day, again, putting aside the risks, obviously it has to be safe. But if you can implant a chip into my brain with no medical risks, and I will now have all the knowledge in the world, why would you not do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. So again, the debate is whether or not education is an end or just a means to an end. If it's a means to an end, meaning I'm getting educated in order to do something, in order to have that knowledge, then just bypass the means, get to the end quicker. But if you're telling me education's a means, it's an end, meaning you need to know geography.
No, it's we need to indoctrinate.
Okay, that's a whole different discussion. But I'm just saying, if you think that studying,
Right.
studying
Right.
with a book in your hand is a virtue in and of itself. Like that is important. Whether or not you have the knowledge afterwards, sitting and studying,
Right.
teaching your brain, training your brain, if that's the end for you and that's the goal, then don't put a chip in your brain.
Einstein said, "I don't let schooling get in the way of my education."
Exactly. Right. So to me, clearly education is the means to an end. Right. If I can bypass the means and get to the end faster, why would I not? But it's a very controversial thing because most people, you'd ask them, you put a chip in your brain, they'd be like, "Are you insane?" Like,
Right.
no way. But
Right.
to me, it's like,
No, I would totally. I would
100%.
after as soon as I say I'd be the first one. Why wouldn't I want that advantage?
Yeah, 100%.
Why wouldn't I want that?
yeah.
So the Israeli we have. Okay, so do you think AI or cybersecurity is going to have a bigger impact when it comes to the Israeli tech scene if we look back in 10 years?
So AI has like kind of become a buzzword.
I know it has, but I don't mean the way it's used by the way because consumers are talking about AI and how they use it in language models, etc.
It's generative AI. AI in general is like
I mean like deep tech or military tech or whatever, or for enterprise solutions. So because people just think of cybersecurity for themselves, they think of a VPN, right?
Yeah, but I'm just
and
saying
Norton or
AI
on the computer. I mean, so that's why they're become buzzwords because they're, people can relate to it more.
I don't think, and I hear this all the time. You're not the first, second, or 100th person to say this, but I don't think you can call AI vertical. Like AI is there's no such thing as a technology in 2023 that doesn't have AI in it. Like everything. Name any vertical of technology, it's using AI.
Use it. Right.
Transportation. How does Mobileye work?
Wait,
it's AI.
You could say the same thing about computer chips. It's in every technology.
Not true at all. What do you mean? No software has computer chips.
But it runs on computers and it runs on things that absolutely need
Okay, but again, take transportation. How does Mobileye work? AI, computer vision. It's all AI. Everything's AI. Medical, AI. Healthcare, AI. Everything's AI.
Yeah, but if you remove the advanced chips, you're not going to have the AI. I mean, this is the whole problem with America.
AI runs it. Okay,
I'm just saying they're right. So I'm saying there's a lot of things, right? And there's a lot of things that you need.
Right.
A lot of businesses
Within
need finances,
right.
and you need, a lot of things are needed in every business, technologically advanced or not.
Right.
So I'm just wondering that where do you think things are?
Within AI, there's many verticals. Obviously, generative AI is one of them. It's the most popular one because of ChatGPT. But I think AI is going to be, even more mainstream. It's going to be in everything, literally in everything. Like my refrigerator is going to be AI. Like everything.
It will know when to, and it won't even that. It will automatically reorder the food that you need when it's that slow.
Which again begs the question: is this a good thing? To me, it's a good thing. Many people are like, dude, that's like, you're on this earth to like work, to do things. Everything's going to be done for you, then it's bad. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like,
right. There will be more. It depends. If you're a person that doesn't like to do things to begin with, which is depressed.
Right.
It's like an alcohol in a sense, right? It can amplify if you're depressed, if you're not a creator, if you're a consumer, AI is going to make you is going to make your life worse, actually.
Well, that's the question about generative AI.
If you're a creator, then AI will enable you to create more, and you'll be much happier and be more enabled, right? So
I mean, everyone, when generative AI, ChatGPT, everyone's like, oh my God, it's going to take my job. Like, dude, when the tractor was invented, farmers freaked out. When press was invented, publishers freaked out. When the internet was invented, when social media was invented, when the mobile, we all freaked out with new technology. Oh my God, it's gonna replace my job. Dude, if ChatGPT can replace you, then you deserve to be replaced.
Right, then there's a problem.
Like if all you're doing is sitting at a computer, data entry all day long on an Excel sheet, then you deserve to be replaced. Use your brain a little more than if a computer can replace you, then you're not doing a good job at life, So of course it will replace people, and just like the tractor, it replaced stupid manual labor that a human being, wasn't given a brain to do those things. Like plowing a field, like use your brain and do something creative, So, AI in general, it will, in many ways, it's going to change everything. It will replace millions of people, but that will open the way, pave the way for those people to do something more substantial, more significant, more meaningful, right? It's not a bad thing. In the beginning, there'll be pains, there'll be growing pains, but at the end of the day, AI will enhance our lives in every possible way. I hope.
Awesome. For the future of Israeli technology, obviously, I think we're going to see, like you said, a lot of things because of the wars. I think we're going to see a lot of rapid escalation, and I think a lot more startups that you were saying that we're all going to want to found, and we're all going to be working together. What I find fascinating in general, just in Israel even before the war, was that there was like, I would gladly recommend a competitor if I thought they were better off than if I thought maybe they would take the business out of the country or things like that.
Right.
And I think we're going to see more acceleration of that. I think more people are coming together. Is that we have far more in common. We can help each other
100%.
more in that sense. And so I think we may be seeing actually more collaboration even further between startups and between the Israeli ecosystem. I think we'll be seeing a lot more domestic and homegrown, which I'm really optimistic for. And I think a lot of startups, as I said, in 5-10 years, or not even 10 years, 5 years, we'll see are going to come. The army is going to start prioritizing some insane technology for defense, just like with cybersecurity and AI. And we're starting to see that in space even more. We're going to start seeing more and more of these things, facial recognition. I think we'll see more of these startups because the military is going to need it. They're going to study the military. They're then going to go have the proper ecosystem to then go and start a startup. And I think it's really going to revolutionize things.
I agree. Yeah, I think I always say this. I think Israeli tech is just getting started. I think this war and everything that we've been through is going to, amplify everything we've done till now, and I think we're going to reach different levels. I do believe that.
Awesome. Hillel Fuld, thank you.
The cool kids do this, man.
I'm not there yet.
Oh, one day.